antlers, assumptions, and artillery. So from my best assumptions, the old-school stung are unlikely to return without intervention. Bjorn finishes his report. Admiral Crosswind lets out a pensive sound from her end of the call. I see. That's a very interesting bit of history. Not to mention, we have a touch of a mystery. I'll get some streams onto this to see what they dig up. As for the Bright Eyes, they're civilians now. One prudent and cautious, the other reckless and short-sighted. Neither is our problem. Unless, Admiral Crosswind muses. Unless, Bjorn prompts, unless they ask for help, we're going to have to confirm things with the people that the stung protected before. But if she was honest, and there's a chance she could absorb and redirect the 3 successor stungs, then we may be able to prevent a number of problems before they start. Do you think the younger stungs will try something in our arcology? They already have. We have reports of girls wearing the colors of the successor gangs, hanging out in suspicious places and manners. They're scoping us out, Crosswind states, and Bjorn pauses. And those colors are? He asks. Dark green leg warmers for one, red scarf for another, and the last use a purple headband. I see, and do they actually have names of their own, or all of them calling themselves the Stung? They're all the Stung, Crosswind says, and he considers. The daughter may be a problem. She's the kind of short-sighted where she'll try to be vengeful. Bjorn notes. You think she'll come after you? I outright heard her, squeezed the tail until she begged me to stop, and then when she charged, knocked her out in a single punch. Bjorn says, I doubt you're worried. No, I'm not, but she's a kid. I don't care what the number on her birth date is, she acts like a child and clearly hasn't grown up. She's not going to have a proper plan to anything, and to be frank, I'll be surprised if she can get further than mugging someone for their gun and chasing me with it. And considering that you make a point of updating your brand every time there's an opportunity, she's going to have to get past someone with the training to toss her like pizza dough to get a weapon I need to worry about, Bjorn says, if she doesn't try things with just pincer and tail. Crosswind remarks. Not likely, she's already seen how that doesn't work. Bjorn remarks. Still, I'm somewhat concerned about these Stung successors. They're not noted for their intelligence, and while stupid people can be easy enough to take down, it's their opening move that's unpredictable. Don't worry, we're watching the Little Scouts as is, but you've just added on a piece of the puzzle and a potential opportunity. Right. Well, if it becomes a problem when it comes to my duties, tell me, Bjorn says. You'll be kept up to date, don't worry. Crosswind assures him, and he nods. Right. I'll get back to my duties then. Although, we're checking that little vandal's trail of destruction, don't worry. Although if things are as bad as they're looking, then her mother may very well strangle her for all this. Good grief, Bjorn mutters. Not your concern any longer. While this is some interesting drama, there's other people who deal with this. You are a protector, not the manager of drama, Admiral Crosswind says. Yes, ma'am. Anything else? No, ma'am. Very well, dismissed. Admiral Crosswind says, and he nods. When she stirs, Megala's eyes narrow. The child that was her hope in disappointment had fully recovered not long ago. A brief return to consciousness, followed by sleeping further due to exhaustion. Ashina was just napping, and Megala wanted her to have the fullness of her faculties when they spoke. Mom? Ashina asks, her awareness halfway between waking and sleep, has no trace of the usual arrogance, stubbornness, and stupidity. Megala can feel her grip slackening. Right now, in this moment, right before she fully wakes, her little Ashina is still so full of potential and so very much the hope for the future. Mom? Where's that dumb bimbo toy that... Ashina starts to curse and Megala's grip hardens. Her tail descends and is twisted in such a way as to hold the foolish child's jaw closed rather than paralyze her. No, we will not be indulging this reckless madness any longer, Megala says softly. Mom? Ashina's soft voice cannot be raised loudly with her mother's tail pressing up on her chin. You first shamed me and yourself with your reckless, stupid, and destructive actions. Then you placed us in the debt of a military with your stupidity. They know now, Megala says. What? Ashina asks. The Undaunted know that we are the true heirs of the Stung. We are still within their territory. They are still very much a violent, potent military that is unafraid to use their weapons on a mass scale, Migala states. But, Ashina begins. No, Migala states. This is the time to listen. So for once in your life, listen, you silly girl. But, Ashina tries and Migala pushes up against her jaw until she stops. Listen, Migala says. We were in a terrible position before. We did, however, have an advantage in that we were presumed dead, presumed gone. Now you have destroyed that. We can no longer hide. We're exposed to an interplanetary military, one that does not care whose tail it steps on and has proven to have enough weight to it to actually survive while doing such. Ashina, I have ruined you. I have sheltered you too many times. I have protected you from your errors too many times. I have shielded you from what should have struck you to properly harden your pincers and reinforce your tail. Mom, this changes now. I have destroyed your communicator. I have rented a new apartment. For the next 3 weeks, you will be alone. In this arcology, you will only have food provided. Your clothing and furniture is being moved as we speak. Furthermore, the undaunted know about us. They will not play gentle or indulge in your behavior. But Mom, I will be visiting. I have a lot of work to do to make sure that these undaunted do not decide to simply ensure that the stung are simply wiped away root and branch. I will visit daily, in fact, but it will not be to offer comfort. I have given you far too much of that. I will be there to evaluate, and every single day you do not hold yourself to a proper standard becoming of our family, you will have to stay in that apartment another day. That's not, Ashina begins, and Migala pushes much harder to shut her up. It is entirely fair, and that is why it feels so wretched to think about it. To the advantaged, fairness feels unfair. Migala states, your tasks are simple. Feed yourself, clean yourself, clean your apartment, and go to your punishment at the overstock store without drama. That is all. I am asking less of you than was asked of me when I was a child. But nothing. It's over, Ashina. Your recklessness and self-centered stupidity has cost us far, far too much now. Perhaps everything. It must end, Migala states as she finally rises up and then leans over her still prone daughter. They are eye to eye, their faces nearly identical, but the biggest difference isn't in the more pronounced cheekbones of the younger, but the sheer blazing fire in the eyes of the elder. I will break you, my daughter. I will break you and remake you as one worthy of the family. The words she says next cannot be heard by human ears, nor pronounced by human throats. Because I love you. You are my daughter, and I will make you strong. I will make you cunning, and I will make you wise, even if I must shatter you mind, body, and soul to do so. And, this just went awkward, Holly notes as her last-minute new student is marched into the gym like a prisoner to the gallows. Is there a problem? Migala Bright Eyes asks pointedly. Only if she starts one, Holly says evenly. You girls know the routine. I need to get our new friend all warmed up and show her what to do. Well, isn't this entertaining? Bjorn says before shrugging off the bar and the massive weights slam into the mats. Ashina actually jumps a little when she feels the floor lurch ever so slightly from 10 paces away. Her eyes are wide and terrified to see a sweat-drenched Bjorn waiting for the holographic cleaning sweep to clear off the mess and take away a good chunk of the drawn-on tattoos as well. You know, hardening up a person normally speaks to mental or emotional resilience rather than physical, but it does work. And building strength without axiom doesn't require resilience and discipline? Migala asks, and Bjorn laughs. Point to you, madam, and well made. Welcome to the gym, where we use pain, struggle, and discipline to create strength. It's fun too, Bjorn, Holly chides him. Not if you want to be like this, he says, flexing hard and getting the entire room's attention. See that? Strength? More pheromones than anything. Go back to your deadlifts. I have a student to teach. Holly chides him. All right, he says and heads back. I ask again, will there be a problem? Migala states as Holly walks up. And I say again, only if she starts one. Holly assures her. Now then, young lady, you showed up in the middle of endurance exercises. While the girls are doing their first set, I'll start you in your stretches so you can move properly to join us in the second and then third and fourth. With Mangowa's glare chasing Ashina towards the group, she starts going through the routine that Holly shows. It's one designed for bipeds, but can be easily shifted around for the tail users or quadrupeds. So, Bjorn begins as he feels out the next part of his set. The bar was completely loaded, so there was no way to increase the weight that way, but the gravity in the small area could be increased, and he had just put it up to 1.5 times natural gravity. What kind of care does that claw need? Excuse me? The claw, it's a combat-grade prosthetic. What kind of care does it need? He asks. None, but it does have a steep learning curve for proper and full use, she says, and the pincer shifts a little before a pair of panels unfold from the top claw, and then a third from the bottom. There are many tools and useful things incorporated into it. Each one takes quite some time to fully master. That one looks like a weapon, Bjorn notes. Not so much. It's a laser cutting beam. It can kill, yes, but it's more about opening things up, she says, and the 3 open panels project a beam that meets together right in front of the claw itself. A bit of shifting, and it can weld things together instead. Save my life more than once. If I overcharge it, which I can't do often, then I can get through hull plating in a pinch. That, Bjorn says before setting down the weight again and shifting the gravity back to normal. That sounds like a story. A bit. It was right before everything. You know, if you're looking for something new, you've claimed some pretty impressive skills and clearly have the tools. No, thank you. I'm not some lost little waif looking for a family and friends to carry me on. I'm doing what I can to preserve what's left of a once mighty organization and then seeking out whoever or whatever hit us more, Mangowa says, and Bjorn nods, even as the beam passes over him again. The fake tattoos are almost gone now, leaving only the brand behind. It grabs her attention even as he adjusts things to really push himself on the next set. She just watches in silence as his gravity is multiplied by 5, and as he slowly lifts the reinforced bar, it starts to bend and groan in the struggle. Markings along the bar begin to glow, and it reinforces itself before it can snap in half, and he slowly lifts up the enormous weight and then slowly lowers it until he sets it back down again. The gravity cuts, and he falls to his knees and pants a bit at the sheer exertion. You barely used any axiom, she states as she examines him. You reinforced your bones and little else. Yeah, no point if I just cheat, Bjorn says, rising again. The holographic beam passes over him again, and the sweat drenching him is cleared away. Excuse me, I need more water in my system after that. No doubt, she says as she examines him. You are under 30 years of age, aren't you? I am, he says. And yet, you've made yourself into the very image of power, and with that brand, resilience, Mangowa notes as she examines him. May I touch the brand? May I ask why? I am curious as to what it does, she says, and he considers for a moment and then nods. It's the mechanical pincer that pokes at the brand, and he can feel it pump axiom in and scan it before she pulls it back. That must have hurt immensely. Yes, something that refined must have taken many attempts. Yeah, getting them wiped away and reapplied is no fun, Bjorn says, and she openly considers. So you've had it applied and reapplied multiple times? She asks. Yes. Are all Undaunted required to take such a thing? She asks. No, it's volunteer only, Bjorn answers, and she considers again. I see, she says as she takes a step back to give him room as he goes into his next exercise. She watches him go and then turns back to where her daughter is being guided through the almost dance-like exercise. That's it. Just keep moving. Holly encourages her class as they move quickly from side to side.